All right, everybody. There have been some new developments in the Nolan Wells case. As we all know, there was the preliminary, and then there's the independent autopsy that they ordered, rightfully so. And we were all just waiting to see what was going to come out of this. And this is one of those cases that's very sensitive. There's a lot of people who have theories. There's a lot of people who have thoughts on what could have happened, what went wrong. As of right now, to me, honestly, there's so many mysteries, so many holes in this story. It just leads everybody to think the worst, right? And before we go into what the autopsy results revealed for the independent autopsy, which was ordered by the family, I do want to clarify one thing, and this is just my thought and my opinion. I really feel like the people that are saying that it's not race-related just don't understand why people are saying it's race-related. When this whole thing started, everybody just wanted answers, right? They wanted to know why this, why that, why this, why that, which is completely understandable, and that's exactly what you would expect people to react like. But then when all the discrepancies started coming through, you started having deleted text messages, started having people scrubbing their social media. You started to have these friends that suddenly just went quiet. I don't know about y'all, but if you out there with your friends and something happens to you, the silence of said friends says a lot. The friends were white. Let's just keep it real. So when you add all that together and you see all that shit happen, of course people are going to say this is a racial issue. I think people fail to look at the history of things that has happened in this country, and this is a cycle that continues to repeat, right? And you got to understand and take yourself out of your own feelings for a moment and understand why people are upset, right? Let's look at what the newest findings have been, all right? It says Nolan Wells' possible injury to the back of his head according to independent autopsy. And we're going to play this real quick. It says independent autopsy finds possible head injury to Nolan Wells.
Preliminary report, second autopsy, death of Nolan Xavier Wells. Cause of death, undetermined, pending investigation. The manner of death, undetermined, pending investigation. Statement of examination. This forensic pathologist was retained to perform a second autopsy examination on the body of Nolan Xavier Wells. Name of decedent, Nolan Xavier Wells. Age, 18 years old. Race, black. Gender, male. Date of death, unknown. Second autopsy date was performed on July 10th, 2026. Preliminary findings. Focal area of red discoloration in the soft tissue of the back of the head, the occipital region. He said the etiology is unknown at this time.
Right then, there, right off the bat, that signals to people that there was a head injury. Now, whatever may have caused that head injury, these are the questions that people have. You can't expect people to sit here and just smile through this shit because people are fucking fed up, man. They're fed up. There's another story that I saw pop up on the timeline. I haven't even had a chance to check it out yet, but they're saying it's a whole nother situation just like this. Think about how many stories like this have been told and don't have any type of attention. Nobody knows about it. Nobody talks about it. I was talking about this originally with the Discord. I was talking about this in Patreon. And then I was just sitting here and I was like, man, these are things that we just need to talk about, man. Like, fuck the algorithm. Fuck all that other shit, man. These are things that need to be talked about because this shit is happening out here, man. And the fact that this family don't got no answers is insane. Look, man, I got a son approaching 18, man. And seeing this shit right here did not make me feel good because you immediately think like, what if this happened to you? Black man in America, we got to talk to him about of where he resides, where he lives. It's a crazy thing to feel like you got to talk to your kids about this still, about who they hanging out with, how not to be the only person like him amongst the group. It's sad that you got to talk about that shit, but those are the realities, right? It's not a good feeling, man.
He said the body was received after the initial autopsy. He said the body had marked decompensation. He talks in the preliminary discussion opinion. This forensic pathologist identified several limitations during the second autopsy that create barriers to establishing a definitive cause and manner of death for Nolan Xavier Wells.
Now, you heard him say that there was barriers created in this that caused them to not really be able to establish a cause of death. What you're going to hear him mention here is something that's getting a lot of people upset as well. And it's the fact that the preliminary autopsy was done when he was sent for the second autopsy, the independent one. Throat was removed and his lungs were removed. Now, I don't want to sit on here and try to sound like an expert in pathology, or I'm not an expert. This is not my field. But I would think that if one of the possible reasons for death was drowning, I would think the lungs and his throat are pretty important. And even, the elements of his throat being removed, right? If those are removed, I think those are important in trying to figure out if maybe there was some strangulation, maybe there was an injury there. Why send the body back without those? So those are little things that, don't sit right with me, and I don't think they sit right with anybody, but let's hear him talk about it.
And that's important. He talks about the fact that we didn't get to see the body when it was first recovered, like the medical examiner working for Mississippi would have seen it. He talked about the second autopsy performed on Nolan Wells revealed marked decompensation or changes. Marked decompensation can obscure the presence and absence of bruising on the skin surface, especially during a second autopsy examination. What he's saying, because the body was so decomposed that you couldn't tell if there was bruises or abrasions on the body when he received it on the 10th of July. He says, however, dissection of the back of the head during the layered posterior neck dissection revealed a 12 by 8 inch focal area of rare discoloration in the deep soft tissues overlaying the occipital bone. And he talked about how he found rare discoloration when he cut open into the back of his head towards the occipital bone, and he saw the red discoloration, and we actually saw the pictures of it. It's significant. You can't help but notice, why is this dark red here in the back of his head? And so he was important to note that in his report.
For people that have kids out there, y'all know, man, you do everything in the world to protect your kids. And this has so many feelings that follow behind it. Feelings of maybe you failed, wishing you could have done different. Did you do everything you could? Like, I can't imagine what the parents are going through. And I even saw people trying to comment, trying to question whether the parents were really genuine or not. All that shit is just evil shit to be doing that at a time like this, man. Just the fact that they have to go do an independent autopsy shows you how much lack of trust there is in Mississippi doing the right thing.
He said that etiology of this finding is unclear. There are no lacerations of the overlaying skin nor fractures of the underlying skull. These findings are inconclusive for perimortem injury due to both the extensive decomposition and the absence of associated injuries. This finding, however, is significant enough to be highlighted in this preliminary report for further investigation. It is important to reiterate that the finding could not have been observed in the first autopsy because the posterior head and neck dissection were not performed.
So let's go to this real quick. This is the update here. Shout out to Jamie. It says update after Nolan Wells family independent autopsy. Obviously we just saw there. It says cause of death pending investigation. It cannot yet rule out foul play. So that's not ruled out. Cause and manner of death remain undetermined pending further investigation. No skull, neck, rib, or pelvic fractures were identified. No deep soft tissue injuries consistent with major blunt force trauma were found. Large area area of unexplained red discoloration was found in the deep soft tissue at the back of the head, but the pathologist says its cause is unclear. Because of decomposition and missing neck structures. This is what I was talking about before. There's missing neck structures. Why? I don't know, but I'm hoping there's going to be some answers for that. From the first autopsy, the pathologist says they cannot rule out neck injury or other contributing factors. So if there is something that happened that has something to do with his neck and that was an injury that caused anything, they can't say nothing because the structures aren't there. They're missing for whatever reason. The pathologist also could not fully assess drowning because key evidence, airway, lungs, stomach contents, toxicology wasn't available. So the conclusion is more investigation is needed before determining how Nolan Wells died. So at this point, they still don't know how he died. And this is one of those things where it's like you got another side that claims to be friends, claims to be his people, his friends, and they not saying a damn thing. And obviously, this is what he was pointing at. This is the red discoloration that they were referring to. And you see on the bottom here, it says interior internal neck structures absent, not received with the body. This is crazy, man. Obviously, we want justice for this family. So what I'm gonna do, man, I just want to keep the conversation going, really, honestly. If we can keep the conversation going, people out there that are talking about this, keep doing what y'all do. It's important to keep the pulse on this so that it's not one of those things that just falls into the background and nobody talks about it again. You know what I mean? Too many times we've been through this situation. It's definitely demoralizing, you know, when you see something like this and nothing happens of it. But remember, we got all these people that were involved in this somehow, some way. And I'm not sitting here saying that everybody's guilty and there was definitely foul play, because the truth of the matter is we don't know. We don't know what happened, but everybody has a right to be skeptical. Everybody has a right to feel like it could be the worst based on people's actions. People disappearing, people not talking, people not coming forward. And the biggest mystery to me is him being on that boat with that Katie girl, right? Allegedly. Everything has to be allegedly for YouTube. Him being on that boat with her, right? And the dad also being present, right? And the dad is supposed to have some type of high position or something. You know, there could be the possibility that he wasn't happy that he was talking to his daughter. If her dad was there, let's say Nolan was drunk or whatever, or was drinking, the dad was there, adults were there, all these adults just watching all these underage teens just drink. I don't know, man. I find that hard to believe. And the theory that I'm going with is that something happened. They maybe played a joke. They maybe thought it was funny to leave him somewhere or leave him on the island or whatever. Thought it was a funny joke and it went wrong. And now they're trying to cover it up because at the end of the day, they got that special number that they call whenever something not going right. They could call dad or they could call mom and they could say, help me figure this out. But that's just my theory. I'm not saying it's fact, but this is where we are, man. That's the update on it. Keep yourself updated with it. I will update y'all when I can, when things pop up. I'll do my best to try to keep this being talked about, and we'll see where it goes from there, man. Hopefully there's justice for this family. I think at this point, that's all people really want, man. They want answers.